My name is Barb Young. I am a volunteer with RSVP and involved in the Happiness in Action program. What is resiliency? Resiliency is really the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape. Elasticity, or like the capacity to recover from difficulties, toughness, it's persistence in the face of adversity. And maybe some of the things that happen to us on a daily basis just start to wear on us. It could be, they discontinued your favorite type of ice cream, and then they closed your favorite fabric store. So, or it could be a major life change. Maybe you retire or you lose a loved one. So there's different kinds of things that we need to learn to bounce back from all the time. Change is the one thing that we can always count on. So to be able to persevere through circumstances like that takes a set of skills that we sometimes need to learn to practice. Resilience can help you deal better with everyday stressors. It can help you bounce back to a normal positive mood after something bad or negative happens in your life. It can help you recover when something bad unexpectedly happens. And I think that's usually the toughest. It's that loss of control that you have to learn to deal with and maintain a positive mindset. The other thing is resilience really helps you learn to live longer. Getting over those upsets in life really helps you with learning to work through all those things. There's lots of different places where resilience is important. At home, I know I need to be resilient. Like if I get sick or something, my family still needs me. In work, well, of course, I'm retired, so I don't have to be resilient anymore in that field. But certainly with different relationships, things change with not just you, but other people that you're in relationships with. When my husband recently retired, I had to get used to him doing nothing at all, ever. And we're still working on it. It's a project that's always ongoing. But I would like you to take a moment to think about areas of your life where you need to become more resilient. So take a minute and just think about that. Where do I need to become more resilient? Anybody want to share anywhere that they would like to become more resilient?
Well, I could share something. For the first time in my life, these last few years, I've had to be the main caretaker of my house, and I know nothing. So when things go wrong, and I might hire the wrong person, I have to be very resilient and figure out a better way to do things, a new way to do things.
Well, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Today with our Bounce Back project, we're going to be talking through the 5 pillars of resilience. They are self-awareness, self-care, purpose, mindfulness, and relationships. And Bounce Back has also provided us with some tools to keep in our toolbox to work through those issues. So, and the first topic that we're going to discuss is
Random acts of kindness.
Random acts of kindness. This is one of our project tools, and Tana is going to take over.
Hi everyone, I am Tana. I am Program Coordinator for AmeriCorps Seniors RSVP. Random acts of kindness is by far and above my favorite one to talk about. So, do you all know, tell me what a random act of kindness is.
Holding the door for someone.
Yes. Another one.
Helping pick up trash in your neighborhood.
Yes. Another one.
I don't take my quarter out of the cart at Aldi's.
Oh, I love that one. That makes my day.
Yes, that's awesome. Yes, that's mine.
That's great.
Absolutely. The possibilities are endless. I think about how many times I just see somebody and I just smile at them in the grocery store. I think about all of the different times that we just do little things for each other. Now, here's what I want you to know. If you witness a random act of kindness, the serotonin in your brain is going to go wild for an hour just because you saw it. But it gets better. Statistically speaking, if you receive a random act of kindness, the serotonin is going to be a little happier for a full day. But the real benefit to random act of kindness is doing them. If you do a random act of kindness for someone else, your serotonin is going to go wild for 2 weeks. So what I always tell people in my family, random act of kindness, once every 2 weeks, you're making yourself happier. You're doing things for yourself. And just think if we all focused on those kind of things. One of the reasons I love this as a tool is because it ties in some of the other ones. In a few minutes, we're going to talk about gratefulness and 3 good things. And all of those things can tie into random act of kindness. I think about a random act that I had once. It was a little while ago. I was in the grocery store, and the person right next to me was short. They were just short $9. And they kept taking things down, and the staff had all of their things there, and I was just about to check out. And I put $9 with my bill, and I said to the staff, "That's for the person next door." And I walked out, and I got in my car, and I didn't quite make it away. And I saw that person come running out, wild arms, "Thank you so much." Did that lift me up for 2 weeks? Or did that lift me for the rest of my life? Every time I think about that simple little thing, what have I spent $9 on that could be more impactful than that? Random act of kindness makes a huge difference. It decreases our anxiety and stress and depression. It protects our heart and improves our immune system. It makes us happier, as I said. It may add 10 years to your life. And it's going to diminish your perception of pain. Now I want to tell you about somebody else who does some random acts of kindness. And you may know this fella and you may not. Everybody take 2 buttons. This is a button that says, "Share a smile with a stranger." And these buttons were made by a fella named Bob Erickson. And he's an RSVP volunteer who told me it's okay to share this story and let me be generous with his buttons. Bob's wife had Alzheimer's. And one of the things that he found was everybody was a stranger to his wife. And so she was sad and she was confused all of the time. And he said, "You know what? If everybody would just share a smile with a stranger, it would make us all so much happier." At the last count, I think Bob's given out about 30,000 of these buttons, and I'm helping him give out more. So I encourage you to take a button for yourself and share a smile with a stranger, and that can be your random act of kindness. And take it one step further. Give that second button to somebody else and tell them the story of how random acts of kindness can make a difference. Next up, we have Chris is going to tell us about 3 good things.
Hi, as I've said, my name is Chris.
RSVP volunteer, happiness in action ambassador. So 3 good things. You might have heard a story about 2 shoe salesmen back in the 1900s whose boss sent them to Africa. And just to figure out how good the business might be there. And they got there and they wired back separate telegrams. One said, situation hopeless, they don't wear shoes. And the other read, glorious opportunity, they don't have any shoes yet. So there's 2 ways of looking at the same thing. One is a positive, one is a negative. So have you ever noticed that you tend to remember your mistakes and the bad things in your life more than the good things in your life? When we do 3 good things, we learn to affirm what goes well in our life. And recalling these events and not taking them for granted will grow our gratitude, which we'll hear about later. 3 good things takes our mind away from the negative and reflects on the positivity. We tend to notice then, once you've done the exercise that I'll tell you about, that you notice the positive things much easier in your life. We can retrain our brain to remember the good things, and we could choose to count our blessings or total up our troubles. So everybody should have this form now. And how this works is every night for the next 2 weeks, I'd like you to set aside a few minutes to write down 3 good things that happened to you that day. It doesn't have to be somebody holding the door for you. It doesn't have to be somebody giving you a gift, for instance. It can be just as small as somebody smiling at you. It can be as small as getting up in the morning. I am up, the day is beautiful. So when you write these, write them with pen and pencil, whatever you have. And write it down so that you can see it with your eyes. And you write it down and you think about them as you're writing and think to yourself, why did this make me happy? Why is this a good thing? So it's best to start the exercise on a Monday, but I would really like you to right now write down 3 good things.
So we're stopping taping. That's why we have the music in the background. We're just going to have music for a second while we write our 3 good things, so that people won't watch us do it. Sneaky. There's an extra copy inside your book, so it's okay to write on the back. And
You have flying pens over here.
I just got a pencil.
That's a good thing. Yeah. I see a pen come flying by and I needed it, yay.
There you go. That's a good thing, wasn't it, Michelle?
Yeah. And it didn't even hit me. So it says today 3 good things.
that have happened to you in the last 24 hours. And you might not do all 3. We're not going to make you say them.
If you can't think of 3, think of 2. And if you can't think of 2, we're all happy you're here.
She said with the shoes. Well, they don't have shoes. Well, how good they don't have shoes. We can start there. I mean, it's all how you.
It's how you frame it.
It's how you flip it. How can I flip
I think you can share that because she's got an idea for sharing something when you come back if there's an opportunity.
Okay.
We're doing fine on time.
Okay. Does everybody have their 3 good things down? Does anybody want to share one of their 3 good things?
I will.
Yeah.
I went to an in-service yesterday at the Tri-Valley, and when I feel like I'm minority when I go in there because they're all speaking Spanish, and I don't know Spanish. But I walked in, and several of the staff that knew me from last time I was there came over and gave me a hug, greeted me, found me a rocking chair to sit in, and it was just, it felt good, so good to be welcomed.
Right, yeah. Anybody else?
I helped a postman this morning. His mail was blowing all over the parking lot.
I was thinking of a good thing to write. I didn't write anything down here, but when I was coming into the building here, a gust of wind hit me, and it almost blew me over. You know? But I did not lose my balance. I kept my feet, and that's a good thing.
Good for you.
I have found that even if I don't write down the 3 good things, I'm still lifted. I've found that a lot of times I'll do this at home with my kids at the dinner table, right? It just is really impactful, and it really makes them sort of think. And sometimes my good things are as simple as, I got green lights all the way to work.
Yes.
Oh.
That's wonderful. I think it's great that you have dinner with your kids.
We do. And you were talking about something while we were on break there. Go ahead, share your.
How you had mentioned with the shoes.
Yes.
And well, I used to do that with the students, and we'd call it flip it. How can you flip it? You know, take your situation and make it more positive. It's really your attitude and how you think about it, and you have control of that, so you can flip it.
That's right.
That's
It
nice.
is exactly right.
Like
When
flipping
you
a
train
pancake,
your
they would
brain
do.
to look at the positive, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
flip it.
And I've done this exercise with the writing down a couple of times. But like Tana said, between times, I do just stop during the day and think, oh, this was nice, this was nice. So it can become a habit for you. And being more aware of the good events will increase your happiness and, of course, decrease your depression. And it can be, completing this exercise can be as powerful as taking antidepressants on your mood. So the positive effects can last up to 6 months. And there are other benefits too. You have improved sleep quality because your brain isn't churning about all the bad things that happen. You have more positive relationships because you're not whining to your friends and family about what's going on. Reduced levels of burnout because you are looking at the positives. And increased focus on the positive things that happen in your life. And makes you happier, makes you more self-confident because you say, these good things are happening to me. I'm worth it. It's good for me. So it gives you gratitude for your life, right? And with that, Chanel will talk more about gratitude.
Okay, gratitude. Just like Chris was saying, this is the part where we talk about adopting the attitude for gratitude. Gratitude is really a near and dear concept to my heart because I know there is so much to be grateful for in my own life. So having gratitude for all the experiences that I've gone through, for the people around me, I can truly relate to how important and mentally and physically uplifting just being grateful for what you have in life and where you are in life is. So, a few quotes about gratitude. Dr. Seuss, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Gratitude starts where our entitlement ends. Being grateful makes us happy. In our daily lives, we must see that it is not happiness that makes us grateful, but the gratefulness that makes us happy. Albert Clark. Gratitude is your gift to yourself. Decrease depressive symptoms and increase feelings of well-being, improve psychological well-being, improve working memory, improve sleep, improve relationships, and improve coping with emotional upheavals. So we all know what an emotional upheaval can seem like. Gratitude is a powerful way to spread happiness. Have you ever noticed how it warms your heart when someone appreciates you? Writing a gratitude letter is a powerful way to spread our happiness to others. And I actually practice writing letters to people that I'm grateful for. So whether it's my pastor or some of my mentors that have been with me through thick and thin and know my kids and family and kind of mentor them under certain circumstances, I always give out like a lot of different cards and handwritten poems to show my gratitude for people. So it's definitely appreciated, and it's definitely a practice I would like to continue to have, and that I share with my children as well, because they like to write little notes and stuff to me about how much I do stuff with. They are the ones who bring a lot of joy to my life that I'm really grateful for. Every night we get an opportunity to say what we're grateful for every single night, so they can understand that there are things to be grateful for, and they can understand that a lot of people don't have family to even sit with that night before they go to bed and think about what they're grateful for. So that's a practice that I have in my life. How it works is, you close your eyes and picture someone who has rekindled your inner light. Something they said or did that may have changed your life for better. This person may have done something for you years ago and you haven't thanked them. Think about how they've enriched your life. Write them a short note or letter. Express what they mean to you and tell them how you feel. You can share your letter face to face, which is my favorite one because I like to see people's reaction. You can read it over the phone. Study how delivering gratitude in a letter can impact everyone that you meet. Some great tips. Be specific about what the person did for you and how it affected your life. For example, I'm grateful you brought me chicken noodle soup when I fell sick on Tuesday. I'm stronger and I appreciate you for that. Focus on what the person means to you as well as what they may have done. Let them know what life would be like without them. The benefits of gratitude. A positive psychology study compares 6 tools meant to improve people's quality of life. Researchers concluded that face-to-face gratitude and visits had a greater short-term benefit. Study participants wrote and delivered a letter of appreciation to someone in their life. This simple act caused happiness scores to rise and depression scores to fall.
Has anybody ever gotten a letter like that somebody wrote to you? I think about a college professor that wrote a letter of recommendation, and I have that locked in my Yahoo email so that I never get rid of it. If you're looking for a quality individual, look no further than Tana Quimby. And it just made my day. Has anybody else had that kind of experience? Jean?
My sister, I think it was last Christmas, the one before, she sent out with her Christmas cards a letter of all the good memories that she had. And she talked about one when she had an infant that was very preemie, and the infant ended up dying, and I think it was during surgery or something. And I didn't remember it, but she said she remembered that when they gave her this dead baby, that the dressings were back with blood, and she couldn't deal with that, and I changed that baby's clothing and clean dressing on it, and she that was one of there were quite a few things in there for the one that she had talked about, and it's just about, I mean, my heart was just.
Yeah, my heart's I'm getting a little teary-eyed just thinking about it.
Yeah.
But that's the power of the written word, right? And again, what Chanel's saying is, it's great for the person that gets it, but it's also amazing for the person that writes it.
Yes.
It really makes a difference.
Yo, excellent example, Tana. And that's where we are going with, coming up, the concepts that we are using to help youth understand what those things mean. So that's an excellent example. Thank you for that. And so just expressing gratitude improves our memory, our physical and emotional well-being, and it improves our relationships and immune system. So there are a holistic amount of reasons why we should be expressing our gratitude and practicing gratitude and having the attitude of gratitude. Now we will have Barb come and talk about our social connections.
Hi. Social connections are so important. I know when I retired, when I first retired 3.5 years ago, I was so busy at work and I had this connection of people and I loved working with them. They were wonderful people and we all kind of helped each other and it was just a fabulous working community. And when I left, there was a big hole in my heart because I wasn't part of that anymore. And they were all still busy doing all this really important work and I wasn't. And so it forced me to stop and look and go, whoa, wait a minute. You need some more social connections because I worked out of town. The people that I worked with lived nearby me, but not close by me. And so it really made me realize I need more social connections. And the important part of that to me was the first thing I searched for was volunteering and I Googled it even and Tana's name came up. And I used to work with Tana 30 years ago, a long time ago, Herberger's. And I thought, well, there can't be two Tana Quimbys. And there wasn't, it was her. And she said, come right in. And she has kept me very busy every moment since I met her again.
But it helped you have social connections.
It
You
did.
made other friends. Yeah.
Exactly. Tana has hooked me up. And I have lots of friends now. I have great social connections. It made me more anxious to go out and do things because I had a purpose too. So one of the things that they have learned studying social connections, it said that relationships with nurturing, safe, and trusted people will build your resilience. Socially connected people tend to have strong family ties, a wide circle of friends, affiliation with religious or spiritual groups, experience as a volunteer, and engagement in their communities. You may wonder who has all the time to do that, but you don't need a really huge support system or a really huge social support. It's having the important relationships. You nurture those relationships with positive and compassionate people. These are the people who, in your life, who accept your vulnerability when the things get tough for you. They're usually good listeners, they respect your boundaries, and they share your truth. You can count on them. Relationships based on trust give you purpose and meaning and increase your happiness. The Harvard study of adult development, I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's there's been a lot about it in the news for the last few years. It's the longest ongoing longitudinal study of people's happiness. They began the study back in 1938, and they interviewed 700 men. Get that? 700 men shared their feelings. And they kept track of these people over and then eventually their families. The thing that they learned from this is that the people who did best and lived the happiest lives were well socially connected. They had great relationships with their families, their friends, and their community. Their social networks helped shape their personal and professional lives. So it wasn't how much money you had. It wasn't all the other things that you could collect. It was your friendships. It was your relationships with other people. How do we do this? How do we do this besides asking Tana to send you all over the world volunteering? You can reach out to family members that you haven't spoken to in years. You could volunteer with someone who has limited social contact. You could say, I love you, instead of rushing out the door every morning. So I scream, I love you, Harry. That's my dog. You could set up a date night with someone that you care about. I do that with my husband, but I also do that with my girlfriends. And make sure that I have lunch with one of my girlfriends at least once a week. Volunteer with other people in your community. See, Tana, I'm getting in that plug for you.
Thank you.
Connect with lonely youth to caring. Connect lonely youth to adults in your community. You can reach out to neighbors, and I do. I have several neighbors that I check in with all the time. I love to bake. That's one of my favorite things, and so I drop off baked goods at their house. Take a vacation from electronic devices and look people in the eye. Now, this I share mostly with teenagers because they're like, huh? Really? What do you mean? And so I text it to them instead. And then the other thing you can do, of course, is watch your self-talk and decrease your negative attitudes or negative comments. Or join a book club, or take a class where you can meet new people. So some of the great tips too. Oh, let me talk to you about some of the benefits quick about having social connections. Those that are more connected to family, friends, and their communities are happier, healthy, and live longer. Being socially active and having satisfying relationships can result in above average levels of happiness, lower levels of depression and anxiety, higher resilience across stressful events and environments, lower blood pressure, better immune response, decreased level of stress hormones, diminished pain, and sharper memory. So now, our next topic that we're going to talk about is
Mindfulness.
mindfulness, and Chris is going to
Well,
lead
Chris
us.
is coming up. Does anybody have a social connection that you'd like to share? Anybody we haven't heard from that you might like to share something about you and social connections?
Well, social connections feeds right into mindfulness and self-care because having people in your life is a form of self-care. How many times has this happened to you that you're on the computer and you have windows open and you're trying to do this and do that and finally the computer just freezes up on you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and all you can do is shut it down and turn it on again and it starts working. We're like that too. In our world today, we're in continuous multitasking, especially women. I think women's brains are forced almost to multitask because you have so many chores when you're raising a family. You get school, you've got jobs, you've got parents, you've got kids, you've got friends, you have to take care of them all, right? Because that's what we do. You notice people texting and walking, or texting and driving, or eating and driving. Everybody multitasks. Mindfulness is a way of stopping the world and focus on yourself so you can reset yourself. It's a way of being present in the world that helps transform. It says suffering here. I know suffering is kind of a tough word, but just transforming your busy life into one with peace and joy. And who can't use a little peace and joy in their life, right? So this is what I suggest you do. Take a few minutes, a couple times a day, and just focus on what's going on at that minute. An example I give is when you're brushing your teeth. I'd like you to use all your 5 senses to be mindful of what's going on so you can use your sight, look in the mirror and see that sleepy face in the mirror, smell the mintiness of the toothpaste, listen to the brush going across your teeth, taste the toothpaste, and then when you're done you can feel how clean your teeth are, right? So when you're using your five senses, you're not thinking about anything else. You're thinking about brushing your teeth and how good it is for me. And that's not a good example for me because when I brush my teeth, I either walk or I balance or I do squats, you know. So I do multitask when I brush my teeth because that's when I know I'm going to get it in. So if you don't take care of you, you're not going to be good at taking care of other people. So mindfulness is a form of self-care. There's other forms of self-care as well. Self-care, caring for yourself, being selfish and taking care of yourself first, it can prevent overload burnout. And we've all been there. You push yourself, and finally you can't take it anymore, and you shut down, right? Just like the computer. Self-care reduces the negative effects of stress. A small amount of stress can serve a purpose, push you forward, but after a while it just breaks down your mind and your body. So taking care of yourself keeps that stress from taking over yourself, and it helps you refocus. So, what can you do to take care of you? I have some ideas here. You can take a nap, take a walk, play with your pet. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share that they do just to take care of them? Yeah.
We're going on a 3-day retreat. It's a silent retreat next week.
Oh my goodness.
Get there at 2, and by 3 o'clock you have to be silent until noon on Thursday.
I don't know if I could do that.
That sounds like torture. That doesn't sound like
No.
self-care to some of us.
It's probably
So
really
beautiful.
good.
Those are really popular right now, though, those silent retreats.
What else do you do to take care of yourself?
I ride a bike.
You ride a bike.
Yeah, I have my bike inside now for the winter, but I will ride my bike.
And when you're by yourself, you can notice nature, listen to the birds, or just run things through your head. Yeah.
I get in the hot tub.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
So anything that brings you joy, painting your nails, watching a funny movie,
Crocheting.
grabbing a bag of Cheetos, whatever. Ultimately, it's your choice on how to take care of yourself. So I think you should make a commitment. And how can you make this commitment and remind yourself that you have it? You can think of items that appeal to your five senses for your mindfulness and combine it with an activity that's just yours. For instance, bike riding. Coloring in a color book, for instance. Playing solitaire with an actual deck of cards. Reading a favorite book. Taking a nap. All of those. So when you have a few minutes, make yourself a list of these things. Refer to it every now and then because you forget. You forget you have to take care of yourself. So if that list is out there in front of you, you're going to see it. You're going to say, oh yeah, I come first. I can be the best me. Yes.
One of the things that I heard somebody talk about with self-care was taking a shoebox and putting in things that made them smile. So I love feathers, specifically orange. I don't know what is about orange feathers, you know, those cheap ones you get at the craft store. And a picture of my granddaughter and all of those different things. So that when you are having a day that you're feeling a little bit down, you have that little self-care that you're ready to take care of yourself. Next, we're going to talk about purpose and confidence. Barb gave a great example of people who come to talk to me because they feel like they don't have that sense of purpose, right? We've spent our whole life being a parent, being a worker, being a spouse, taking care of the house, all of these different hats that we wear. And then all of a sudden, sometimes what can happen is when we don't need to wear those hats anymore, all of a sudden we're at a loss. We don't know what to do. I kid you not, every week I have people come to me who were taking care of an ill spouse and the spouse has passed and now they don't know what to do with themselves. Everything they had was wrapped up into that hat. And so what we have to kind of take a look at is how we can find our purpose again. It's the recognition that we belong to something bigger than ourselves. And again, I hate to point to volunteering, but that's a huge reason why people come in and volunteer, is because you're linking arms with a whole bunch of people who are all doing things that are bigger than any one of us could do alone. If we don't have a purpose in life, it can increase our anxiety and depression. It can harm our social connections that we talked about a minute ago. It can really wreak havoc with our mental and physical health. So finding a sense of purpose is finding things that give you joy. We just talked about a minute about somebody that likes to ride a bike and somebody that likes to go on a retreat, somebody that doesn't like to go on a quiet retreat and talk. All of those different things, that's our purpose. And when you find those things that make you happy, it gives you motivation. It gives you a sense of well-being. It makes it feel like life is worthwhile and satisfying. And believe it or not, it protects against Alzheimer's. It's good just in general for your mental and physical health. I'll tell you, a few years ago, I was having a hard time knowing exactly what my purpose was. My life was starting all over again, this time alone with 2 kids and a lot of debt. And I took a class and we were creating our mission statement. And I was having a hard time. That was it was a foreign concept to me. I couldn't figure out exactly what they were looking for. And I was at a retreat with some friends laying on a dock like this with my head in the water. And I'm 32 years old and I still do that because I'm just a kid at heart. And I'm looking down there and I'm realizing that there's this whole kind of world underneath. And the fish didn't seem to have a question about their purpose. And the snail that was down there didn't seem to have a problem with his purpose. And the water seemed to know what to do. And I put my feet in and I kicked the water a little bit. And I started to think about making ripples and the difference that I could make and how I could be careful to not wreck somebody else's purpose, but still come up with mine. And I took ripples and I turned it into an acronym. Respect, integrity, purpose, playfulness, love, enthusiasm, and spirituality. It became my purpose. When big things come up in life and I don't know what to do with myself, I can run through those things and see how it fits in. When I feel like I'm a little bit off balance and I don't quite know what's going on, I run those things through my head and it helps me figure out how to be balanced again. A mission statement's not for everybody. Does anybody else do that? One or two. It's not for everybody, but it is for some people. How you define what your purpose is, how you decide what brings you joy, is individual to each one of us. Just like all of the things that we've talked about today. All of the things we talked about, it's not rocket surgery. There's nothing magical about these different pillars of resilience. It's just a little bit of science and research that they've put together, and now how we all can make it happen. Another thing that I have found that is a great way to give purpose, and in the suggestions for how you can build your own purpose, is to model purpose for others. And as Chanel's going to talk with us in a couple of minutes about how we can do our happiness in action presentations, we're modeling purpose for others. We're fostering gratitude. We're asking people about their skills. We're taking all of the different things we put together. That's how we can help others develop their purpose. There are so many ways
that we can do that. Now I want to talk for a second about confidence. I wrote down as the most important part of this, if you remember, nothing else about confidence. Confidence plus resilience equals hopeful. I found that to be a really impactful statement. If resilience is our ability to bounce back from things, and adaptability is how we use experience to positive new outcomes, confidence is the way that we do that. We can have times that we're feeling overwhelmed, but we have to move forward with confidence. How do we do it? Who's got a tip? How do you move forward with confidence? You know?
By believing in yourself and believing in your purpose, like you talked about.
Yeah, believing in yourself, believing in your purpose. Anybody have another one? Do you have a day that you're feeling not confident and you do something?
I have a mantra, and it's just do it. And I've stole it from Nike, but I don't care. It works. If I'm nervous about having to do something, you just do it. Just do it.
Just get up and do it. It just makes
do
a
it.
difference. Yeah,
Just, I think helps me to remember things that I did do well, and that I can do that this time.
think about what you did well, and I can do that again. I'm going to tell you a little secret. My grandma's passed a few years ago, but these are her socks. I was a little nervous about the videotaping today, and so I put something, I did a little bit of confidence building. My grandma was a super confident woman. I don't think she ever questioned who she was or where she belonged, and so when she passed, I kept her socks. And when I'm really not sure if I can be confident about something, I've got my grandma's feet on. I'm gonna go forward and do it. Maybe it's a silly game, and maybe you're just all laughing on the floor about such silliness, or maybe you think it's gross to wear your grandma's socks. But it gives me confidence in a way, so we just have to, it's part of that mindfulness that Chris was talking about, right? It's about that self-reflection and going, what is it that I need to do? It's about stopping and taking some deep breaths and then going, okay, I can do this. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. We're all just trying to do good things here. We're just going to link together and do good things. So, great tip. Smile, accept your negative thoughts, and move forward. Just do it. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, my son was in ballet, and he was at Orchestra Hall, and had to go out in front of everyone, and I said, are you nervous? He goes, no, I've done this before. I'm like, Orchestra Hall, right, yeah. He goes out and he stands, and just stands like this until the whole place is totally silent. And then he stands up on point and goes like this, and the ballet starts. But he had to have that confidence to walk out there and have people wait on him.
Mm-hmm. It's tricky. So confidence. And the other piece of confidence is being able to be adaptable, right? We started 5 minutes late today, and I am a little bit type A, and I had this presentation planned out by the minute. Everybody had 6 minutes to do each section, and we started 7 minutes late. The first thing I did when Barb went up and talked is I'm sitting in the back and I'm renumbering everything, and I'm trying to count. Numbers aren't my best thing. I'm trying to count my way through, but I had to be adaptable, and guess what? We're on time. We're perfect. We're learning things. We're getting it together. It's all happening. But we have to be adaptable. That's how we gain all of that confidence. Those are the heart of our training today. So I'm just going to run through a quick recap of what we just talked about together. First, we talked about what is first we talked about what is Bounce Back. And Bounce Back is a program that was created by CentraCare and a bunch of community partners after there was a horrible thing that happened in the community, and everybody came together and said,
We need to be better in touch with being happy with each other. What do we need to do? What can we do together? And now CentraCare drives that, and they're helping us make this happen today. Then we talked about resilience, and resilience is
Bouncing back.
bouncing back. It's bouncing back from things that happen bad. Because every one of us is going to have good and bad things that happen to us. And resilience is the thing that gets us through. And then Barb shared that there are some project tools that CentraCare has provided us. And what our whole program is about here is taking those project tools, incorporating them in our lives, letting it spill over to the people we meet, and then purposefully bringing this to children. Just think, if you understood when you were in 6th grade what mindfulness and self-care was, how different things might have been for you as you moved along. And then we went into the project tools. We talked first about the random act of kindness, and we talked about how if you do a random act of kindness for someone else, you get the benefits for 2 weeks. So we kind of say, let's try to do a random act of kindness every 2 weeks. Then we talked about 3 good things. Every day, writing down 3 good things right before you go to bed. And guess what? You will reap the benefits of that for 6 months. 3 good things, if you write down 3 good things every night before you go to bed. We moved on then, and Chanel talked to us about gratitude and about the power of the written word, and how if you write a note to somebody that's made a difference for you, it really can help that person, but it helps you too. And that's part of, and that one ties right into mindfulness and social connections. Barb then talked with us about social connections and how important that was for her in a big life transition that we had, and how you just need to reach out. There are other people that want to help you with social connections, but they just don't know. And let's face it, we're all there at some point or another, right? Then Chris talked a little bit about that mindfulness and self-care, that internal piece of paying attention to your senses, taking some deep breaths, calming down, and moving forward. And that tied us right into purpose, confidence, and adaptability. So today, that completes Bounce Back Training's Train the Trainer. And now, we're going to talk about what we're going to do with it. Chanel, you're on.
So we covered a lot of really important topics that will help all of us and has helped all of us in our resilience. And we want to take those topics, like Tana said, like Barb said, and like Chris said, we want to pass those along to our youth and help them build their resilience. And we take all these things, and what's next is perseverance. So we're teaching them how to persevere through all the trials that we know will come up in their lives that they don't expect, and things that they're going through currently now. And we're talking about these same concepts. The best thing about this training is this is an example of what the program is going to be. So knowledgeable people with life experience getting up there and explaining how you use these tools every day to overcome adversity and persevere. So building youth resiliency. Our Happiness in Action program is a K-12 youth resiliency program where our volunteers, you here today of course, are trained in a training like this one, and also in a 4-hour bounce back training sponsored by CentraCare and crafted by Melissa, a nurse from CentraCare. And we take these same concepts, these same tools, these same stories and experiences into classrooms. And we teach them how to have resilience, how to keep building upon their resilience, and how to use that to be better little and big people in their lives. The first concept, like we covered, gratitude. That's for K through 1. They'll learn how to express the gratitude and spread happiness. Random acts of kindness. They'll learn how to care for someone else and do acts of kindness just because that's an excellent and healthy thing to do. Friendship. They'll learn about positive interactions with their peers, like we talked about positive interactions with each other. And then they'll learn about mindfulness and self-care. So they can wrap it all up and understand how to take these tools and build their resilience and care for themselves so they can care for others. So as we move into the remainder of the training, we are going to do an activity as well, which will be a reflection of how the class will go. So we're doing breathe sticks today. And in our breathe sticks, we're going to do moving one letter. We'll spell out the word breathe, and we'll use our chenille stems. And that will be an activity that we will do with mindfulness and self-care in the classroom with the students. And we'll show them how to breathe mindfully. So we'll take the letter B and move it to the side, to one side, and then we'll take a deep breath. And then we'll take the R and so on and so forth. And we'll take a breath with each one. So can we pass out our breathe stick kits? Let's pass one down.
So this is actually an activity that we're going to do with youth in grades 6
Yes.
through 12.
Thank you.
So we go in and we talk with them about mindfulness and self-care using a, oops, we're looking for the,
Yeah.
mindfulness and self-care using a curriculum that Chanel has developed. And then as part of our time together with them, we'll work with them to make a breathe stick. So this bag contains the letters for the word breathe.
Yes.
For the kids, sometimes we have to put it on the board just to be sure that they get them in the right order. And a half of a chenille stem. Okay, Chanel, tell us how to do it.
Okay, so you want to take your letters out and take your chenille stem. I think we go backwards. To put the E on first, and then we put the.
It depends if you're right-handed or left-handed.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah,
if you lay them all out on the table, you can slip that little chenille stem right through there.
See, we have our instructors. That's why we need them, so they can let us know the proper way to do it. And you just spell out the word breathe. So we're going to take that first letter, get it on there. And this will also give you an idea of how long it will take, your students to do the activity while you're in the class. And then we'll also be talking to them about ways that they practice mindfulness. So what are some other ways that we can practice mindfulness, or what are some ways that you may see your family practice mindfulness? Anybody?
Center yourself. Put
Yeah.
your feet on the floor and feel them.
Beautiful.
We talk about our house, a lot at our house about just taking 3 deep breaths. Let's just take 3 deep breaths and start that over again. We call it a do-over, because once in a while when somebody's a little off track, they just need a little do-over.
Yes. And also you can bend one end of your chenille stem so the letters can not slide off, even though they're pretty firm in place. But you can use the end to make a heart shape, give it a little razzle dazzle.
I used to have some PTSD when I went to the dentist. And it didn't have to do directly with the dentist, but every time when I had to lay back and look at an acoustic ceiling.
Yeah.
And I use this sensory kind of thing, but they call it the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You think the 5 things that you can see, and 4 that you can hear, and 3 that you can feel, and 2 that you could smell, and 1 that you could taste.
Yes.
And that's all I would think about while the dentist was, or the hygienist, whoever's working on my teeth. And it really helped a lot.
That's a great example, and we'll actually do something like that now, where we'll do some mindful breathing and we'll do some counting. And mindfulness also is, like you said, Jean, engaging our 5 senses. So take the letter B, move it to the side, and a deep breath. Now the next letter. And the next letter. Again. And the last letter. Great. And with that exercise, that's how we get youth to, teach themselves how to wind down and center themselves, as we stated, and come to a state of mindfulness. So right there in the classroom, we can turn into yogis and shamans and masters of our universe when we teach them how to do some mindful breathing. So, and also, just in doing these activities, I have the other lessons and about random acts of kindness, mindfulness and self-care, friendship. So you can look over it and then think about presenting these lessons, because right today, this is what it is. So it's not anything that's complicated or bad. It's you getting the opportunity to tell your story from your experience with, just the assistance of our curriculum. And so Barb and Chris and their example of what we have today is an excellent example of just presenting the lesson so we can all understand it and relate to it.
That is so wonderful.
Isn't that a great?
It is.
Isn't that a great tip?
I want to use it. I mean,
Well, you get to keep your breathe stick. Congratulations on your special gift.
Oh, I love
That's
it.
your special gift. Barb and Chris, would you mind doing your presentation while we're still videotaping?
I think we could do a little bit of a shortened version.
All right, and then we just want to kind of show you what it looks like with the curriculum, and then we'll go ahead and finish up our taping, say bye to our friends online. Before this will probably be the last time I can talk, so again, I want to thank everybody for coming today. And a special thank you to Barb and Chris for taking the extra step, and Chanel for being part of our team. It's just been amazing collaboration.
Yes, thank you ladies so much.
So this is what we do to the 6th through 12th graders. I generally do the mindfulness part, Barb does the self-care. So we have usually 10 minutes for presenting, and then 15 minutes of discussion, which varies according to, the grade level. 9th graders are more willing to talk than 12th graders, for instance. Some activity, and then sometimes we'll do a service project. Fill a bag for first responders. Fill a bag with toys and color books, and after we give to first responders to give to kids if they're at their house for something to keep their attention away from what's really going on. So what we would do would be introduce ourselves, and Barb usually starts out, and but I think I just went through everything you would.
You did.
So I would start out by asking them what they know about mindfulness, and then hopefully they'll have a few ideas, and then I'll say, I was a student once many years ago. I had high school students. I have high school grandchildren. I know what you're going through. You've got parents, you've got homework, you've got sports, you've got pets wanting to go for a walk, you've got little brothers and sisters coming after you, you've got aunts and uncles. Grandma and grandpa haven't seen you for a week, You've got things pulling at you all the way. And sometimes it is just too much. So you need to learn how to step back, shut out the world, and pay some attention to yourself. Mindfulness is about using your senses to pay attention to the present moment. It's like hitting the pause button on your busy life and noticing what's happening right now. So the ways you can practice mindfulness are by focusing on your breathing, on your thoughts, or the things around you. And this is where we go to the look at, find me 5 things that you're looking at. We go through the senses like Jean was talking about. So then I would go through one bit of breathing with them and tell them how deep breathing in through the nose, out to the mouth, just calms you. And as I was researching this, I found that your body will automatically do this when you're stressed because you sigh. How many times have you heard people when they're frustrated? They'll sigh. That's your body automatically telling you to calm yourself. But we don't think about it, it just happens. And then I'll tell them why mindfulness is important, that it reduces stress. When you're mindful, you can calm your mind. Calming your mind, calming your body takes that stress away. Being mindful improves your focus. So it helps you concentrate better on your schoolwork and on your family and other life responsibilities you might have. And best of all, I think mindfulness improves your mood. Being mindful can make you happier and more relaxed. So then, and then this is where I go through the techniques to do the breathing, the deep breathing. Do it 5 times, and you'll find yourself just quieted down to concentrate on what's going on the here and now, and don't think about anything else that's happening. So then I will ask the students if they have anything else to say. And I say another thing that helps your resiliency is self-care. And then it's Barb's turn.
And then my part is usually that I'm trying to focus to get them to share some things. So one of the things that I might do is to remind them that in kindergarten, they always raised their hand before they even knew what the question was. So if they would please just try to once in a while raise their hands and share a little bit, it would be greatly appreciated. And that kind of usually gets a smile out of a few of them. One of the things that we talk about is we split it into like physical self-care and emotional self-care. So, and a lot of them are very willing to tell you about the physical self-care that they'll do. They'll take vitamins, they'll exercise a lot, they'll run, they'll do this, but they aren't geared into thinking about the self-care that's emotional for them. So I kind of usually talk about a few things that I like to do too, which would be like gardening and digging in the dirt, and that I really like to read and just sit in a really quiet room and read, or that I would take my dog for a walk, because while you're watching your dog go for a walk, they are the epitome of what is mindful, because they don't worry about what happened a little while ago or what's going to happen in the future. They're just busy, happy, and sniffing and walking along, and that's what we need to do. And then I'll also remind them, I'll really go around and ask them to share. And I get a lot of some very interesting answers too. A lot of them will share that music, they play video games, or other things like that. I share that one of my favorite self-care acts is having chocolate. So, and then they're usually pretty agreeable that some form of sugar does help with self-care. Some might share that they like movies, or play some other games. So, but in all, it goes very quickly, and each presentation that we've done so far has been with really the high school age kids. We haven't done much in middle school. Does anybody have any questions about doing a presentation, or?
I've noticed that when we talk about how to center yourself and give ideas of how they can do that, one, I think a lot of the kids have pets, and that's one you can use your senses for, and a pet on your lap, a cat or a dog or whatever, is going to calm you as you're petting the dog. That's been proven. And tell them to stop and feel the fur and feel the warmth of their skin, and appreciate how much the dog loves you for yourself. So, and they relate to that, you know, so.
And back to the 5 things that Jean was talking about too. I've seen posters in schools now that talk about those 5 things that help you center yourself. So I think that's becoming a little bit better known too. Yes.
There's one thing too, people think about giving kids time out, you know, and a lot of parents think that's like a punishment for the kids, but the thing is, it really is meant for a time for them to calm down and then come back into whatever they're doing. But I give myself times out, and when my kids were young, I would do that. I need a time out, and I'd go to my room for a while, and then I'd come back. And I still do that. I don't have kids in the house anymore, but I still take time, every once in a while, I still take a time out.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a good way it's a good mindful tool, and it's something people understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I guess, yeah, I always think of it as isolation, but no, it's also self-care. Okay.
We want to thank you all for joining us
Yes.
today, and thank you for the folks online. We've got our contact information, so if you've made it to through this whole video, please reach out to us and get involved. We'd love to have you as part of Happiness in Action.